Hello and welcome to Petite Professionals. Today I have Lydia. Thank you, Lydia, for joining us.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here today.
And then what does that sash say that you're wearing right now?
Miss Heartland 2026.
That's awesome. And that is with the MAO part of the Miss Minnesota, correct?
Yes,
Very cool. That's my first time doing a pageant was with MAO and really good experience there.
for sure.
So you, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misremembering this, but you are graduating this month from your grad program, correct?
Yes, next Saturday. I'm so excited.
Well, congratulations. So
Thank
I
you.
have some questions about that. What school did you go to for this program? And what is the
I
program?
Yeah, so I'm graduating with my MSN ED, which is my Master's of Science in Education with a school counseling degree. So I will be a fully licensed school counselor in just a couple weeks, but I've been working as a school counselor for the last year and a half because there is a school counselor shortage in both Minnesota and Wisconsin. So they
Oh,
are licensing people to work as school counselors. If they're in their graduate program and they can show that they're getting credits in the education, which I think is really important because we need to give kids access to mental health support and resources in school, but it's sad to me that like we don't have enough people to fill those roles.
yeah. I didn't know they were doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was recently at NAMI, the National American Mental Illness Conference,
Yeah.
and there was someone from the Chicagoland area that did a presentation. And at the high schools in her area, they surveyed, and it was, I don't know, I think it was like 40 something percent kids didn't know like who their trusted adult was, and they didn't know where to go to talk to an adult. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely a needed needed role. So, where are you going to school at?
Oh, UW Superior. Sorry, I thought I said that, but
Oh no,
it's
sorry. You might have. I might have.
so
You know, okay, that's
it's a fully
awesome.
online program, so it's super nice.
That is really nice. So with UW Superior, so I only know because I'm doing clinical mental health through Capella. I know like I have to take there's like certain tests I have to take. What do you guys have to take for being a school counselor?
So they've changed the licensing requirements at least in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So graduating from UW Superior, I can get my license in both Minnesota and Wisconsin to work in both states, which is kind of nice.
Mhm.
I'm in the cities area, so I could totally work in like those Wisconsin cities right over the border. So I haven't decided quite what I'm doing yet. But right now, because there is such a shortage, they increased the number of classes that we can take. So instead of being a 54 credit program to a 60 credit program, and then they got rid of the praxis, which is the school counselor exam.
Okay, awesome.
And
Yeah.
I think part of that is to do with just the shortage and encouraging people to not have to take the exams. And if you can show that you have a certain GPA and are maintaining academic progress, that you have the skills necessary to be a school counselor. But I also think some of that too is just like with testing anxiety ramping up, like if people can just get licensed by maintaining good grades in classes, sometimes that's easier and removes a barrier for people to get that license.
I agree 100% because it's so funny. Like when I'm doing school, I got like 250 out of 250 on my last paper. But when it comes to like a test, I rather write a paper any day than take a multiple choice test. So everyone, yeah, I think that's really great that they're doing that because people have the skills, but just one way of testing it isn't the best way to find it. So,
Yeah.
well, very cool. Now, what made you want to become a school counselor?
So I always knew I wanted to work with kids. I knew that since I was very little. I always thought I was going to be a teacher. But when I was getting my undergrad at Minnesota State University Mankato, I had to do a placement in my first year in a first grade classroom once a week. And I was so overwhelmed being there for 3 hours. I was like, there's no way I can do this every single day. I love kids. I want to help them. I want to support them. But I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do that, but I knew that I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. So I changed my major to child development and family studies with minor in nonprofit management. So that's what I got my undergrad in. I graduated with that degree in 2020 during the pandemic. And I started working with Girls on the Run, which is a youth empowerment agency. I was the program director for the Mankato chapter of Girls on the Run. And I really noticed how much I loved pouring into kids. And then I remembered how much of an impact my school counselor made on me. I absolutely adored my school counselor. She was one of my favorite people in the whole entire world and still is one of my favorite people. She actually was my site supervisor for my internship this year, so that was a really
Oh,
special
cool.
full circle moment to have the person that like encouraged me to be a school counselor. But I really think that kids just need that positive person that believes in them and knows that they can do whatever they set their mind to, and helps them with the skills that they need along the way, whether that be coping skills, whether that be how can we figure out this academic issue that's going on, what can we do to problem solve, or okay, so college might not be what's for you. Like, let's look at trade school options. Let's look at apprenticeships. Or, okay, you want to get in that really cool school, but you don't understand the financial aid aspect of it. I really love how well rounded the role of a school counselor is and can really support students. Something that I saw on social media last week that I thought was really interesting was that school counselors are the only preventative mental health care we have in the United States because kids have access to it in a school building um, all the time during the school year, and that's the only time they have access to free mental health care.
Yeah. Wow. I I liked how like full circle that your mentor, like growing up and now she was your site supervisor. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's really cool. It has to feel good for her too that she knows she made such an impact.
She said that she knew that that's probably what was going to happen. She's like, I just knew you were going to be a school counselor one day. And I was like, "Ugh, really? I did not." And she goes, "Girl, I could have told you that when you were sitting in my office when you were 16." And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. So many people have said that because I went to school for art and now
Yeah.
I'm in grad and people were like, I knew you were going to be a counselor someday. I'm like, I didn't. Why didn't anyone tell me?
I know. I was like, I don't think you ever like even brought that up, Kristen. She goes, no, I didn't, but I just knew it would happen. And I was like, cool.
Great. So, okay, what is a piece of advice? Like if you were sitting and talking to someone and they mentioned like, "Hey Lydia, I think I want to be a school counselor." What is something you think they should know?
Um, I think it's important that they get experience working in the schools. Working in the school setting is way more fast-paced than any other work environment. I think it can change at literally the snap of your fingers. You think you can do one thing and then some emergency happens and you're doing something else. But I really think to get experience in schools and go and volunteer and kind of see what that environment is and really reach out to school counselors. I did a lot of informational interviews with school counselors before I officially decided that that's what I want to do. And a lot of the nonprofit work I did in Mankato, I was working directly with school counselors. So I kind of got an inside scoop of their role and got to see what they do every day. And that really is what set me in this motion of being a school counselor. The mental health professions are weird, where usually when I'm working with my kids, I'm like, go do a job shadow, really go see like what that career is like. But because of confidentiality, you can't do that as much as a school counselor or a counselor that you might be able to do with like a vet or a business analyst or things like that. Like I encourage my high schoolers to do, and they're like, Miss Lydia, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. I'm like, hey, that's okay. Like, let's figure it out. Let's go find a job shadow. But I really think doing those informational interviews is so important.
Yes, definitely. Well, you touched on nonprofit, which made me think of like I know for me being involved, like I do a lot with domestic violence shelters, and I was thinking like how can I do more to be more involved, and like that experience that really played into like me getting into grad school, like being able to show like, hey, this is all the nonprofit work I've been doing and I love it. How can I make it into a career?
Yes.
But with that, I mean, pageantry, one of my favorite parts of it is the service aspect. And I know you had an appearance this morning, so you are a busy bee. What
Yes.
got you into pageantry?
So my story to pageantry kind of directly relates to the mental health conversation we're having. I was actually challenged by my therapist to do the most out of my comfort zone thing I could think of. So I did what every normal person does, and I signed up for Miss America Local.
Mhm.
And I just had so much fun competing in that pageant. I was like, okay, I think I could do this. And I didn't walk away with a crown, but I had fun and was really proud of what I did. And the current Miss Minnesota at that time, Ellie Mark, came up to me after and she goes, "Girl, I think you have what it takes to be successful in this organization." And I was like, okay, whatever you say. Like, I guess there's another pageant in a couple weeks. Like, it's not that far from my house. I'll sign up. And I won my first trip to Miss Minnesota in 2022 and went back in 2023. And now I'm going back for a third time in 2026. So it really shows that when you step outside your comfort zone, you can get so much benefit from it because kind of back to the career thing, like I am working as a school counselor right now without being fully licensed, but the interview skills that I learned in pageantry gave me the skills to step into that interview and showcase to the hiring team exactly the skills and assets I would bring to this position and what I could do for their students because I've learned how to market myself in the pageant world.
Yeah, and I'm hearing mentorship again, right? Like I think it's so important, like with being a title holder to like, pour into other people, right? Being like, it is
Yeah.
possible, like you can do this too. And
Yeah.
I don't know, no matter what system I competed in or what age, I've taken something away. I know when I competed at Miss Beloit in 2009, I did not place, but I had just the best time and I really learned more about myself. With pageantry, typically you have like was it SSI or a platform.
Community
Um,
Service Initiative.
okay, I was like, they changed the name.
Yeah, they change it all the time, I feel like, but right now it's Community Service Initiative.
Okay, so CSI, what is yours?
Mine is Bigger Together, the Mentor Movement. So I work with big brothers, big sisters to really advocate for mentoring across the state of Minnesota through their different programs, which is so fun and so important. And like we've kind of talked about, the theme of this interview has kind of been mentorship, and that's something that I believe is so important. I've been a mentor for Big Brothers Big Sisters since I was a freshman in college. And my first little sister graduated high school last year and is doing big things now and makes me feel really old. But it's just so fun to see the growth through that program. And kind of a cool thing with Big Brothers Big Sisters is they have a school-based mentoring program that comes into our school. So our kids get to do group-based mentoring at the school, and I get to really help identify the kids that would be good for that programming and not only connect my kids with me as a school counselor as a resource, but also something that's so important to me as a mentor through Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Wow, yeah, definitely full circle.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing about your career journey and with grad school and telling me a little bit about your pageant journey. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today on Petite Professionals?
No, it was so fun to be here today. I am so excited. Miss Minnesota is June 19th. It's our 90th anniversary this year. So we're
Wow.
super excited for that.
Very cool. Well, I hope you have a wonderful time. I will definitely be checking out your social media to see pictures.
Yes.
All right. Well, have a great weekend and thank you.
Yes.
See ya.
See ya.